Lecture 6, Consuming as Activism. Consumption has become one of the most urgent topics of our lives. As Jonathan Watts and David Loy wrote in The Religion of Consumption, in the past, it was religion, community, or class that gave us identity. Now, it is what we consume. But this new religion of consumption is not necessarily bringing comfort or solace to its unwilling adherents. To the contrary, we see it more often leading to personal despair and disempowerment, with certain ecological decline. Buddhism may have a relatively unique and valuable role to play in our effort to create solutions. Revisiting our moral and spiritual values is an important part of our response to the fundamentally alienating ethic inherent in consumer culture. The Buddhist perspective offers not only a critique, but also practical ways to empower people to resist the prison of consumerism. The ownership and the consumption of goods, wrote E.F. Schumacher in Small is Beautiful, is a means to an end, and Buddhist economics is the systematic study of how to gain given ends with the minimum of means and the minimum of damage. The Buddhist truth of interdependence is exemplified by the advent of human-caused climate change, with emissions in one region dramatically affecting the ecological and economic well-being of the entire planetary community. The Buddha himself spoke about the path of emancipation in terms of consumption. In the Discourse of the Sun's Flesh, he talks about the four nutriments as engines of creation: what we desire, what we imagine, what we say and do, as well as what we consume, have a global impact. Global forces beyond our control have increasingly penetrated our national and local communities. The power of wealth of some transnational corporations now exceed that of many nation-states. About 1/3 of all economic activity worldwide is generated by only 200 corporations, which are linked to each other by strategic alliance and interlocking boards. Their model of development presupposed the continuous expansion of production on a planet of limited resources. For the consuming public, the social and environmental costs of technological progress and global corporatism is high. We have already crossed the threshold of unsustainability and seem acquiescent in the face of disappearing forests and the pollution of our atmosphere and oceans. Most urgently, climatic instability threatens food production and animal and human life around the globe. It is estimated that 4 additional planets would be needed to provide the American lifestyle to every person on Earth. Future generations are clearly at peril, and it is not entirely clear that the ill effects of our lifestyles will not be visited on current generations with rising cancer rates and the toxic burden carried within our bodies. This is tantamount to stealing from our children and grandchildren, compromising their very ability to take birth and enjoy a normal life. The right to a healthy environment should be the ultimate right to life issue. We live in a world where all living systems are inextricably bound together in one interdependent community. There can be no economic security without ecological sustainability. The path to ecological integrity is linked to solving the economic and social problem of gross inequity in the distribution of the Earth's resources. Can we expect governments and corporations to take the lead in moving our economies towards sustainability? Better we cultivate a deep awareness of the consequences of consumerism and learn to vote collectively with our pocketbooks. The consumer choices we make have immediate impact and the potential to lead our society to a better quality of life for all beings. There is good news. Compassionate consumption, says Julia Butterfly Hill, is not about sacrificing or giving up things we need. It is about reawakening to the sacred within and around us, and celebrating this awareness in every action and in every transaction. Examples of ethical, eco-aware industries are numerous. Non-toxic and sustainably produced clothing and home care products, and the rise of homegrown organic food brands such as Earthbound Farms and outlets such as Whole Foods are notable examples. Socially responsible investments are on the rise, as is shareholder activism. Consuming in the 21st century is a new form of activism. May we be wise enough to use the tools of transformation that the Buddha offered to help us on the path towards salvation and an end to the needless suffering resulting from corporate greed, government indifference, and our own ignorance and delusion. The Buddha often said contentment is the greatest wealth. Cultivate that contentment by slowing down, meditating on your many blessings, and taking the time to treasure your family and friends. Nourish yourself more from the inside. But the fact remains, we all have to consume. Roshi Joan Halifax's test for consumption is to ask yourself, by consuming this, am I enlightening myself? Specific questions to ask before making a purchase. Do I really need it? Can I buy it secondhand? Can I borrow the use of one similar? If the purchase needs to be made, ask, is it eco-kosher? What are the health implications for myself, for others, and the environment? An example is the choice of a glass or metal cup over a plastic one. What are the politics? After years of trying, a friend of mine finally quit smoking because he couldn't stand the idea of feeding the coffers of tobacco companies who use that money to silence environmental groups and support the most reactionary politicians. Another example, when you buy a product made in China, at the moment, you are supporting a host of unskillful practices, environmental, social, and political.